Welcome to the Thinking Director channel, where thinking differently leads to living differently. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to move through life with financial ease, while others, maybe even you, are constantly stressed about money? It's not always because one person earns more. Often, it's because one person plays the money game by a completely different set of rules. Here's the truth nobody teaches in school. Wealth isn't just about how much you make. It's about how you manage what you make. Most of us grow up learning how to earn money, get a job, work hard, climb the ladder, but very few of us learn how to keep it, grow it, and use it in a way that gives us freedom. Instead, we fall into a cycle: paycheck in, bills out, a little spending here and there, and by the end of the month, we're right back where we started. Meanwhile, the top 1% operate differently. They have systems, principles, and habits that protect and multiply their money over time. The good news? These strategies aren't locked away in some secret vault. You can learn them, you can use them, and you can start today, no matter where you're starting from. In this video, we're going to explore 13 powerful money principles, a blend of practical strategies and mindset shifts. You'll learn how to set financial goals that actually motivate you, how to split your income so you always have something to invest, and how to avoid the traps that quietly drain your wealth. I'll also share real stories, ordinary people who applied these ideas, built strong financial foundations, and eventually reached the point where work became a choice, not a necessity. If you're tired of feeling like money is always slipping through your fingers, stick with me. By the end of this, you'll have a clear, step-by-step plan to take control of your finances and start shaping a life you don't need a vacation from. Let's dive in. Part 1: Setting clear financial goals. Imagine stepping onto a ship with no idea where it's headed. Where would you go? How long would it take? And most importantly, how would you know you're not lost? Money works the same way. Without clear goals, you'll easily get swept up in day-to-day spending. And by the end of the year, you'll have no idea where it all went. A good financial goal should be specific enough to measure, and inspiring enough to keep you going. Save to buy a home in 2 years feels very different from save more money, right? Try writing down your 3 biggest goals for the next 1 to 5 years. It could be paying off debt, building an emergency fund, or creating passive income streams. Then, put them into a specific timeline and attach a clear number. For example, pay off $15 in loans within 18 months, or save $50 to invest in real estate within 3 years. Once your goals are clear, you'll start viewing every spending decision through a new lens. Does this bring me closer to my goal? I once knew a friend who dreamed of opening a small coffee shop. But without clear goals, he spent 10 years in an unrelated job, spent money impulsively, and that dream stayed on paper. On the other hand, one of my students set a goal to buy a house in 5 years. She broke down the amount she needed to save each month, cut unnecessary expenses, and stuck to her plan. The result? In just 4 years, she was holding the keys to her new home. Here's my question for you today. If tomorrow you earned double your current income, what would you do with it? Spend it all, or direct it toward a clear goal? Financial goals aren't just numbers, they're the compass that keeps you on course, even when the wind changes. Part 2: Jim Rohn's 70-30 formula. Most people, when they get paid, spend first, and if anything's left over, they think about saving or investing. The problem is, by the end of the month, there's usually nothing left. Jim Rohn, one of the most well-known success thinkers, proposed a simple yet incredibly effective formula: 70-30. Here's the principle. You keep 70% of your income for your needs and pleasures. The remaining 30% is split evenly into 3 parts. 10% for savings, to build a reserve fund for the winters of life. 10% for investments, to create future income from stocks, real estate, or business ventures. 10% for giving, charity, contributing to the community, or helping others. It sounds simple, but the key here is discipline. When you split your money as soon as you get paid, you avoid the trap of thinking about investing only when something's left. If your current income doesn't allow for 30%, start small. Say 9-7-1-1-1. The important thing is to build the habit, then gradually increase the percentage as your income grows. I once met a couple in Texas who started with an income of just $3 per month. They began with 97111, then moved to 85555. 10 years later, they reached 70101010. And their passive income covered all their living expenses. The question is, if you split your income starting this month, how different would your life look a year from now? This formula isn't magic, but applied consistently, it will completely change your relationship with money. Part 3: Allocating your spending wisely. Have you ever looked back at your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? The truth is, without a clear allocation plan, money has a way of disappearing on its own. A popular principle is to split your income into clear categories, so you can meet your needs while still moving toward long-term goals. For example, 50% for essentials, housing, utilities, food, gas, tuition, debt payments. 10 to 15% for savings, for an emergency fund or specific goals. 10% for investments, stocks, funds, real estate, or business ventures. 5 to 10% for personal growth and leisure, learning, courses, travel, experiences. It may sound simple, but in reality, many people overspend on entertainment, leaving little for savings and investments. I once met a 27-year-old in California earning $4 per month. At first, without a spending plan, he always felt short on cash. When he applied this allocation rule, in just 8 months he saved over $10 and began investing. The key is this: every dollar you earn should have a job to do, and that job must align with your goals. Try listing out every expense from last month, then compare it to the suggested percentages. You'll be surprised at how a few adjustments can move you closer to financial freedom. Here's a question for you. If you could increase just 1% in either your savings or investment category, which would you choose, and why? Part 4: Personal Financial Statement, the Mirror of Truth. If you want to know exactly where your finances stand, look at your personal financial statement. It's like a mirror, no hiding, no sugarcoating. A basic personal financial statement has 2 columns: assets and liabilities. Assets are what create value and can generate income for you, cash, real estate, stocks, businesses. Liabilities are what you owe, credit card debt, mortgages, car loans, personal loans. When you subtract liabilities from assets, you find your net worth. This number gives a more accurate picture than simply looking at your monthly income. Many people are shocked to realize a high income doesn't equal wealth if your debt is just as high. I once advised a marketing executive earning $120 per year. Yet her net worth was negative due to credit card debt and a mortgage. On the other hand, another person earning $50 per year lived frugally, invested consistently, and had almost no debt. After 15 years, he became a millionaire. My advice: update your personal financial statement at least quarterly. It will show you whether you're on track or need to adjust. And before buying anything big, ask yourself, will this show up in my asset column or my liability column? The truth may be hard to face, but it's the first step toward change. Part 5: The 70101010 Formula. If you've ever struggled to save because every expense feels important, this formula will give you clarity from the start. The 70101010 formula works like this: 70% for expenses, all your essentials and reasonable leisure. 10% for giving, charity, helping family, or contributing to your community. 10% for active capital, money you use to run your own business or develop a personal project. 10% for passive capital, investing in funds, stocks, or real estate through others. The beauty of this formula is that it allows you to live comfortably while forcing you to invest in the future and give back. If your income doesn't yet allow for these percentages, start with a smaller version, 97111. The key isn't the amount, it's the habit. I once coached an office worker earning just $2 per month. She started with only 1% for each category, but gradually increased it. After 5 years, she had enough capital to open her own bakery. You'll be surprised at how even a small, consistent amount can grow into something significant over a few years. Question for you: if you started applying this formula this month, how different would your life look in 3 years? Sustainable finances aren't built in leaps, they're built through daily, consistent steps. Part 6: Investing in yourself. There's one investment no market can take away, no inflation can devalue, and whose returns last a lifetime, and that's investing in yourself. We often think of investing as stocks, real estate, or business, but before you put money into anything external, make sure you've invested in yourself first. Investing in yourself can mean learning a new skill, advancing your expertise, improving your health, or expanding your perspective through books and experiences. I once met an engineer in Seattle who set aside at least 5% of his income each year for new courses. As a result, he doubled his salary in 6 years and gained the freedom to choose projects he loved. Remember, knowledge and skills are intangible assets. They don't depreciate like cars or equipment. And sometimes one skill can yield returns for life. You can start small, read 10 pages a day, take an affordable online course, or attend a workshop to expand your network. A friend of mine once spent just 15 minutes a day learning English. 2 years later, he confidently communicated with international clients and landed a promotion he'd never imagined. The question is, are you willing to dedicate a portion of your income to improving yourself? Instead of spending only on things that lose value over time? When you invest in yourself, you're not just increasing your personal value, you're opening doors to opportunities you couldn't see before. And sometimes, this very investment will earn you far more than any financial investment ever could. Part 7: Helping others. There's a kind of asset that grows the more you give it away, and that's helping others. Helping doesn't only mean money. It can be your time, skills, experience, or even a timely piece of advice. When you use part of your income to support your community, create opportunities for others, or help someone through a tough time, you're creating value beyond the numbers in your bank account. I once knew a businessman in Texas who set aside 5% of his company's profits each year to fund scholarships for underprivileged students. 15 years later, many of those students became engineers, doctors, and returned to support the same community. The benefits of giving aren't just for the receiver, they're for you as well. It builds credibility, expands relationships, and gives meaning to the work you do. When you help someone succeed, they often remember and find ways to return the favor, sometimes in ways you never expected. You don't have to wait until you're rich enough to give. In fact, wealthy people often start giving when they have very little. A friend of mine, back in college, spent 2 hours a week tutoring immigrant children for free. Now, even after achieving financial success, he continues that habit, just on a larger scale. Here's a question for you. If you set aside 1% of your income to help others starting this month, who would you start with? When you give, you don't lose, you plant seeds. And those seeds, one day, will grow into trees that provide shade for you and many others. Part 8: Long-term thinking. Building a solid foundation. One of the biggest differences between those who achieve financial success and those who constantly struggle is the ability to think beyond the present moment. Many people focus only on how to survive this month, while successful people ask, what do I want my life to look like in 5, 10, or 20 years? Long-term thinking is like planting a tree. You can't plant it today and eat the fruit tomorrow. You must nurture it, water it, and protect it through many seasons. For example, a family I know in Florida bought a small house 20 years ago. Even though they had to tighten their budget at the time, today, that house is fully paid off and worth 5 times the original price. Those with long-term thinking often accept sacrificing a bit of present comfort in exchange for future freedom. You can start by setting 5-year and 10-year financial goals, then breaking them down into yearly and monthly action steps. Once you have a clear vision, your spending and investment decisions become easier, because you know exactly where you're headed. I often ask my students, how do you want your financial story to end? Their answer determines how they begin today. Here's a question for you. If you could send a message to yourself 10 years from now, what would you write? Remember, the future doesn't just happen, it's built from the decisions you make every single day. Part 9: Getting back on track when you drift off course. No one goes through life without drifting off course at least once. What matters is not whether you drift, but whether you can get back on track. The same is true in finance. Maybe you overspent, invested in the wrong place, or abandoned your savings plan. But none of that defines you, unless you give up. I once knew a couple in New York who lost almost all their savings when the stock market crashed. Instead of giving up, They took investing courses, learned risk management, and within 4 years, they not only recovered but doubled their original assets. The key here is, don't let one mistake turn into a habit. If you notice you're off course, adjust immediately. Ask yourself, if I could do better, would I? This simple question can pull you back in the right direction. Attending seminars, reading books, or talking with people who share your goals can also reignite your motivation. In reality, the financial journey is like flying a plane. Even with advanced navigation systems, pilots constantly adjust their course to reach their destination. Here's a question for you, right now. Is there any area of your finances that's off track? And what will you do today to correct it? Remember, every adjustment, no matter how small, brings you closer to your destination. Part 10: Managing Financial Risks. Your umbrella for rainy days. No one hopes for storms, but storms still come. In finance, a storm could be job loss, an economic crisis, or an unexpected expense. The wise don't wait for rain to find shelter, they carry an umbrella. In finance, that umbrella is your risk management plan. Risk management starts with an emergency fund. A common rule: set aside enough to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses in an easily accessible account. Next comes insurance, health, life, or property coverage. This is how you turn a big potential loss into a small monthly cost. I once knew a friend in California who skipped health insurance thinking, "I'm young and healthy." After a car accident, he faced over $80 in medical bills, setting his finances back a decade. Risk management also means diversifying income and investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, because one shock could wipe you out. A family I met in Texas had 3 income streams: their main job, rental income, and dividend investments. When the pandemic crippled their industry, the other 2 streams kept them afloat. Here's a question for you. If your main income disappeared tomorrow, would you have a plan to sustain your life? Remember, risk management isn't about living in fear, it's about living prepared. Part 11: The Power of Financial Discipline, the gatekeeper to freedom. If your financial goal is the door to freedom, then discipline is the gatekeeper. Without discipline, even the most perfect plan can fall apart. Financial discipline isn't about cutting out all joy. It's about saying no to things that don't serve your long-term goals. I once coached a student who bought a new phone every year, even though the old one worked fine. By changing that habit, he saved over $8 in 5 years, enough to invest in a stable income-generating fund. Discipline also shows in sticking to a budget. You may not enjoy tracking expenses, but it helps you control your money instead of letting money control you. Here's a small tip: automate. Set up automatic transfers to savings or investment accounts as soon as you get paid. If the money never touches your hands, you'll be less tempted to spend it. Discipline also requires persistence. Just like working out, skipping one day won't ruin your results, but skipping repeatedly will erase all progress. I once asked a successful entrepreneur what his biggest secret was. He said, "Not ideas, not luck, but that I consistently did the right thing every day, whether I felt like it or not." Here's a question for you. In your current financial habits, what's one thing you know you should change but still haven't? Remember, discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement. Without it, everything remains just a dream. Part 12: The Power of Networking, an invisible but priceless asset. In your financial and career journey, there's an asset that can't be measured in money, yet can help you earn a great deal. It's your network. A good connection can open opportunities you couldn't buy with money. I once knew a young designer in San Francisco who, through reconnecting with an old friend, landed a project with an international fashion brand. That first contract completely changed her career. Building a network isn't about using people, but about creating mutual value. You help them, they help you. The best way to nurture your network is to help before you need help. When you give without expecting anything in return, you plant seeds for lasting relationships. Don't underestimate coffee meetups, workshops, or community groups. Every conversation can be a doorway to new opportunities. A Harvard study found that 85% of job and collaboration opportunities come from personal connections, not job boards. You can start by reaching out to old friends, joining groups related to your interests, or simply introducing 2 people who could benefit from knowing each other. Here's a question for you. If you could meet one person this week who could inspire you, who would it be? Remember, money can be lost and earned again, but a quality network will continue to create value for you for a lifetime. Part 13: Keeping your mind and mental space clean, the foundation for wise decisions. In both finance and life, a cluttered mind is like a messy room. You can't find what you need. And it's even harder to make the right decisions. When your mind is crowded with worry, fear, or chaotic information, you're more likely to make rushed, poorly considered decisions. Keeping your mind clean starts with controlling what you feed it. If you constantly consume negative news or compare yourself on social media, you'll soon be mentally drained. I have a rule I call filter mode, only allowing information, people, and habits that feed positive energy into my life. Beyond your mind, your physical space matters too. A tidy desk and a clean room help you focus better and feel more in control. For example, an investor I know in Chicago starts each day by cleaning his desk and writing down the 3 most important tasks. He says this keeps him from getting lost in things that are loud but not urgent. Keeping your mental and physical space clean not only keeps you calmer but also sharpens your ability to spot opportunities. Here's a question for you today. What's one thing you can remove, either from your mind or your space, to make room for something better? Remember, sometimes the fastest way forward is subtracting the unnecessary, not adding more. Conclusion: your journey to financial freedom starts today. After these 13 parts, you've probably realized financial independence isn't a magical destination, it's the result of hundreds, even thousands, of small choices you make every day. It's not just numbers on a spreadsheet, it's how you think, how you face risks, how you build relationships, and how you nurture your mind. Maybe today you're at the starting line, halfway through, or far along your path. Wherever you are, you can start again or keep moving forward. Don't wait for the perfect time, because it never comes. Taking action right now is what makes the difference. Remember, the formula for financial freedom isn't complicated: the right mindset, strong discipline, smart management, and sharing value. But to make that formula real, you need persistence and consistency. I believe everyone has the ability to write their own financial story, a story you'll be proud to tell in the future. So here's my question for you. How will you write your next chapter? If what I've shared has brought value to you, please like, subscribe, and share this video with people you care about. Together, we can create a community that lives free, happy, and sustainable. Your financial future starts with the decision you make today, and I believe you'll choose the right one.